This is Bat and Switch, and I'm Bat. You're welcome to join me as I explore sex, kink, and power exchange from within the slash. This podcast contains graphic language and adult topics, so if you're not an adult, please exit the cave now, and never accept internet content, even mine, over the advice of medical or legal professionals. Taking part in a power gift exchange. We just had our holiday party at the Columbus Space last evening. In addition to the normal sugary sweets and festive music, there was a Santa Claus for photo ops and a craft station. We also had a gift wrapping station for donations, staffed by those of the service or submissive mindset. As I wrapped gifts, a capital letter type approach to say that she loved to wrap presents, but she wasn't a slave. I assured her that anyone wishing to help could, regardless of their role in the community, and she made a mental note for next year to volunteer. It struck me that people often get caught up in the roles, the notion that those who identify as master or dominant or top are to be served. It's very often the way outsiders to the community view us. They see slaves as those who serve. They see masters as always being on the receiving end of service. But one of the fundamental characters I've seen in every ethical master, mistress, or dom I've ever met is a heart of service. They create safe places for people to engage in their kink. They protect those spaces from without and even from within. They encourage growth and joy. These aren't the heart-pounding, loin-stirring fantasy moments we see in the movies. These are long hours of actual work. These are thoughtful moments of consideration of the needs of slaves or submissives. These are the times when those capital letter types set aside their own wants, if they see something that needs to be done for the greater good. Theirs is the business of serving while being served. It's a space I only rarely inhabit, and when I've been there, it's tiring business. It's part and parcel of this power exchange business we're about, yes? It's the ebb and the flow, the give and the take, the willingness to serve, and the maturity and self-restraint required to accept that service with humility and appreciation. I find myself contemplating this as my holiday to-do list grows. There are no Christmas decorations up at the Batcave this year. They're still in their boxes. Over the years, I decorate less and less, and this year, it just wasn't a priority. As a person raised in the Christian faith in the United States, Christmas is already an enormous clusterfuck of mixed messages anyhow. Taking a break from the bells and the whistles for just a year, that's not going to do me any harm. A stand-in for Santa was in attendance at our party last night, as I mentioned. The sanitized, red and white suited, portly fellow with big belt and even bigger beard. If we dig into that backstory, it isn't too long before the mashup of St. Nicholas and Sinterklaas and Father Christmas and even the god Vodun, or Odin, appear. But let's push a bit further back to the reported birth of the Christ child. The Christ, in Christmas, or Mass of Christ. Bumper stickers remind us that he is the reason for the season, right? The Christ. The Christ, it seems, is the perfect example of a master or lord who led with service. A man, he was, who could accept foot washing and return the favor. He was a gift prophesied. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 says, "To us a child is born, to us a son is given." Those who favor the Judeo-Christian version of history recount him as being the Son of God, sent to earth for one purpose, and that was total sacrifice, to literally die for us, to die so that we may attain forgiveness and eternal life. That's a hell of a gift. But the celebration of his birth on December 25th is historically inaccurate, wildly inaccurate. The date was chosen by early Christians to dovetail with the celebration already in progress, as it were. If you're attempting to practice a forbidden faith, it's rather easy to do it in plain sight if you just pick a holiday that everyone else is celebrating. Am I right? This Roman holiday was based on Saturnalia. This is quite the party, and it is, in this woman's humble opinion, more in keeping with the life of Christ than anything modern humans have come up with after the fact. Part and parcel of that celebration, quite the party, as I said, was a solid 2 weeks of eating and drinking and being merry. Silly gifts were given, ridiculous performances enjoyed, and roles were often reversed. During this time, it was accepted and even encouraged for masters to provide table service to their servants and slaves, for instance. It was a time when the notion of freed men was embraced. It was not just about partying, though, as it was also a time to reflect and look ahead. Saturnalia is a festival of lights leading into the winter solstice. Candles and lights symbolize the quest for knowledge. Later, Romans added a celebration of the renewal of light and the coming of a new year on the tail end of that holiday. There's really nothing new under the sun, they say, or under Saturn. Yeah? As the Roman Empire came under Christian rule in the 3rd and 4th centuries, the popularity of Saturnalia waned, and many of the traditions of the holiday were simply subsumed into Christmas and New Year celebrations that we still enjoy today. We could keep pushing back in history, right? What are the roots of Saturnalia, and before those, and before, but I'm just going to stop there. Because what remains central to all of these holidays across time is the notion of giving. Sure, we have corrupted the notion. We've stirred in enough stress and competition to make most of us bonkers. We've tossed in horrible notions of wealth and poverty, where the number of gifts your family can afford is somehow tied to how good you were in the year past. This might be a good time to remind everyone that St. Nicholas, the actual St. Nicholas, was the saint of several groups of people, one of which was merchants. Yeah, presents. We suck as humans sometimes. But giving remains. There's nowhere where I've seen as much conscientious and intentional giving and receiving as I've enjoyed in the kink community, and the leather community specifically. Sure, we screw it up sometimes. We are, after all, human, but we do a damn good job of giving with a willing spirit and accepting with grace. We realize that giving and receiving require energy and intent, and that neither is to be demanded without consent. To find myself in a community where I can ask with utter vulnerability, "May I do this for you?" and where others may respond yes or no with equal validity, where I can offer my service for a situation to one individual or entirely to another, where I can accept service from others regardless of their status. To have joined a tribe in which I can be challenged and supported, that is a gift. That is goodness. So from my cave to yours, Merry Christmas, if that's your jam, or happy whatever the hell makes your heart sing otherwise. Thank you for joining me today. If you like what you heard, show me some of that love on social media. I'm batandswitch nearly everywhere: Gmail, Twitter, Instagram. You can find copies for most podcasts and links to related information at batandswitch.com, along with contact information for me, Bat. Intro and outro music is Kevin MacLeod's Too Cool, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0.